Hi, this is James, and I'm here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting December the 26th, 2016. Can you believe it? This is the last week of 2016 because this week we transitioned from 2016 into 2017 because at the end of the week, over the weekend, will be New Year's Day. Can you believe the year is over already? I don't know where it went. This is amazing. So first, I want to say thank you for those of you who have joined me throughout this year. This was the year where I made the switch from Your Week in Tarot to the Oracle Outlook, and so I want to thank all of you who supported me and encouraged me as I made the transition from the one series to the other, because I saw the interest in my Lenormand work and my angel card work was starting to take off, and so I wanted to incorporate those systems into the weekly card reading series, and the only way I could really do that was to kind of just change from one format to the next. So I want to thank you all for supporting me and encouraging me in that process, as well as all of you who chosen over the course of this year to subscribe to the channel. So I just want to say first and foremost, thank you, as well as acknowledging and thanking all the people who have been supporting me for the few years that I've actually had a YouTube channel. So thank you one and all. And so what I'm going to do for this week, I'm going to be doing a Lenormand card reading, and the deck that's going to be assisting me for this week's reading is the Mystical Lenormand. It is by Regula Elizabeth Fiechter. The artwork is by Trösch, and it is published by AGM. So I have the deck on a table in front of me, so I'm going to take the deck in hand, and I'm going to be shuffling the cards. So basically the question is, what do we need to know for this final year of 2016, and possibly what do we need to know in terms of the transition that's also going to be taking place this week. And so I'm going to encourage you that if you work with Lenormand, that as I'm going through the cards, keep in mind any thoughts, feelings, impressions that you get of the cards, because I tend to see things one way, or I have one perspective. Mine is just one perspective, and when you do that, you'll make the readings more personal and relative to where you are in this process of transition and change. And just as I acknowledge those of you who read Lenormand, if you do not, then just keep in mind any thoughts, feelings, impressions that you get as I'm talking about the cards, and honor those. Whatever thoughts, feelings, impressions you get as I'm talking and sharing the information, see how that could be a direct message from your own inner guidance, your own spiritual support team, and seeing how that could be relative and personal to you. So the layout I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a line of 5. So I'm feeling like one more shuffle is good. And then I'm going to cut the cards. And I'm going to fan them out, which is one of my favorite parts. And then I'm going to pick 5 cards that are going to represent the line for the reading. I'm just picking the cards that kind of speak to me, kind of get my attention in the fan. And I have my 5 cards, so now I'm going to gather up the remainder of the deck, and we're going to put that to one side. So I have the 5 cards in front of me face down, and if you're no stranger to my Lenormand line of 5 readings, what I do is I always start with the middle card, because the middle card for me represents a central issue or what we're being called to focus on throughout the course of the week. So the card is the house card. This is very interesting. So I'll hold the card up. So we have the house. And so for me, the house represents our home life. It represents our personal life. It represents our family life. The home, or the house card for me, represents your living surroundings, your living space, and it can be family oriented, but also whoever it is that you share space with, whoever you share a roof with, whoever you share living quarters with. So it could be talking about that. It could also be talking about, like, since we're moving from one year to the next, this could be about like setting a foundation or laying a foundation for that process of change. So this is like if you're thinking in terms of like what it is that you are hoping and intending for 2017, then the house card is like, what do you have in place in terms of a foundation that's going to help you be more successful in achieving those things that you like to see happen in 2017. So taking a step back and I'm looking at what else I want to say about the card. So I said home life, family life, personal life. It could be also to like being more comfortable with who we are as people, as individuals, because I tend to see the house as comfort. And so if you go with the idea here, and this is just me being a dream decoder, having a background in dream work, everything in a dream represents the state of the dreamer, right? So going with that, houses and dreams can represent the physical body, and different rooms in the house represents different parts of the body. So I'm seeing that kind of energy as I'm talking about that. And so for me, it represents like we're moving into a stage where we're being asked to focus on the ways of being more comfortable with who we are as individuals. You know, it's about like that skin you live in, your body, you know, your body is like, you know, the skin or the physical body is the house, you know, that holds your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call that. But it's also about like, are we taking care of this physical body? Are we comfortable in our own skin? You know, so I'm seeing that. So in addition to looking at foundations, you know, looking at our home lives, you know, maybe doing some restructuring, some reorganization, things of that nature, it's also about being more comfortable with who we are as individuals. So that's the house card. So now I'm going to go one step out and I look at all the cards, because while the house has its own meanings, there's more information to be gained when we look at all the other surrounding cards. So going from left to right, we have the tree. Next to the house, we have the heart. And on the other side of the house, we have the letter. And then rounding out the line, we have the lilies. Okay, so what I do is I usually look at the cards that are immediately flanking the center card. So here on the left, we have the house, and on the right, we have the letter. So going with the heart is a card for me that can represent passion. It can represent enthusiasm. Natural go-to, of course, is love and romance. So if we go with the pairing of house and heart, or heart and house as the order would be, then this could be about like being passionate about your home life, being passionate about who you are as a person. You know, this whole idea, if we go with the idea of the house is about like being comfortable with who you are, then this could be about how can you love yourself more. You know, the idea here is, you know, the idea with the house being about you as a person, then how can you be, you know, more nurturing, more caring, more loving towards yourself. So, and for some people that may actually be a goal. There may be some things that they're going to do or want to do that's going to show themselves that they love themselves more. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. And of course it could be, you know, love for, you know, whoever you live with. If it's family, then it's love for family, you know, enthusiasm for family. It could also be too, and this is just me, people who follow my readings for a long time know I love to read from the lens of, you know, being business and business oriented. So this could also be a passion for a home-based business. Maybe one of the goals for some of the people watching this video would be like starting a home-based business, working from home, you know, or having a small business. Then the heart with the house could be a passion or enthusiasm for a home-based business or a small business. So I'm seeing that as possibilities. Over on the other side, we have the letter. So the letter is a card that represents news or messages, and usually they are of a written form. This is written forms of communication, written forms of correspondence. So with the letter card facing, or at least the dove on the letter card is facing the house card, so it could be like some sort of news or message that comes to the house, going with the idea of direction, comes to the house. So it could be, maybe there could be issues about like mortgage. I'm thinking about like all kinds of statements or invoices or things of that nature that could come to the house. So this could be news or messages about a house, because the house can be about real estate or property. So it could be, you know, mortgage invoices, statements, things of that nature. You know, as we make the transition from one year to the next, this may be a time where people are having to look at things like property taxes, you know, getting your house in order in terms of like starting the process of tax preparation. If you're a business person, this is the time where you have to start really thinking about like income reports, expense reports, getting those things together. So I'm seeing that. So the letter and the house could just be talking about like actually taking time to, look at the paperwork or documents that are either pertaining to a house or pertaining to a business or just overall, as we change years, it could be focusing on that. If we look at heart and letter as a pairing, then this could just be, someone who has, a love letter. They may actually find a love letter in the house, a love letter that's being exchanged between family members, going with the house being about family, or people that you live with. I'm going to go with the idea here too. It could be a person who has a passion for documentation, a person who has a passion for paperwork. If you are embarking on going through paperwork or having your taxes done, or some sort of record keeping or bookkeeping, something of that nature, then you want to have somebody who is passionate about that. It could also be too, like if you are embarking on a home-based business or a small business that you are passionate about, then the letter could be like, what paperwork do you need to start thinking about acquiring or getting together that's going to help you move your business along. So I'm seeing things like maybe a business license, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is business license, maybe zoning paperwork or something of that nature. I'm seeing all that kind of stuff. So it could be that as well, because again, it's about like not just having the foundation but moving that one step further. So I'm seeing that with heart and letter. Going out, we have tree on one end, lilies on the other. So the thing about the tree card, I love the tree card. So if we're talking about a person who's doing a home-based business or a small business that they are passionate about, going back to the heart, the tree could be suggesting like maybe the person is a healer, because the tree is a card of health and healing. So it could be, I have a passion for healing. I'm a passionate healer, going with the idea of tree and heart as a pair, and I want to start a business. This is the year where I'm starting to do that. Then the tree is offering you as guidance or advice, what are you needing to do to grow that business? Tree is a card of not just having the roots. Very interesting. We have the house. When I said house is about foundation, the tree is about roots. It's kind of a similar thing, but it's about like moving into this, first being patient, because a new business takes time to grow. And the tree is all about things that grow and develop, but it also requires patience because trees take time to grow. So there's that. It could also be too like about branching out. So it could be like you are moving into a stage with a venture, if it's business, a venture where it's about branching out. It could also be too, if we go with the idea that house is about family, then the tree could be about like one's family history. I tend to look at it as roots. I tend to look at it as lineage. I tend to look at it as ancestry, going with the idea of a family tree. So it could be like someone may be considering like, either growing or extending a family. It could be about extended family members. It could be somebody who wants to know more about their roots and actually doing some exploration with that. And that would make sense with the letter on the other side, because it could be like some paperwork or documentation that would help you become more aware of where you come from. That could be a big thing for somebody. They may feel like they are able to move forward with their lives once they have a better sense of who they are and where they come from. And that would fit with the house about being comfortable with who you are. That may be a way for a person to feel more of a sense of being comfortable in their own skin if they have a better sense of their own personal and familial history. So I'm seeing that on one side. On the other side, this would also make sense because the lilies on the other end is a card that can represent things like elders, seniors. So if we go with the idea here that tree on the one end could be, the idea here of ancestry and family lineage and family history, well then here on the other end with lilies we have a way of maybe, paying a tribute or some way of honoring someone's memory in terms of an elder, a senior, so this could be like, again, ancestry, and discovering that. And with that, if a person is embarking on that, then the lilies as the last card is a timing card for me. And so for me, it represents the winter months. So it could be like throughout this winter season. So, December, January, February, this could be the time where you're really embarking on wanting to know more about who you are and where you come from, because the lilies is about the past, and in terms of, elders and seniors, it's also about the past. Now, if we're talking about growing your business, in terms of maybe being a healer, whether that's either the traditional kind of healing or the alternative spiritual kind of healing, then the lilies would suggest having a great deal of experience in that, or that you are going to be working with somebody in like a mentorship kind of way, because the lilies can represent A, having a great deal of experience in that, and then B, also working with somebody who would be considered a mentor. And that would be the idea of somebody who has the wisdom, somebody who has the experience, somebody who may be an elder, or some level of seniority in that industry. So I'm seeing that as possibilities if we go with it from the business sense. And if we go with it just from the living with family sense, and this could be, maybe we're opening up our living space, because this thought just is coming to me, maybe we're opening up our living space to an older person, an older family member coming into the house, in that regard, making space for that person, as a way of, maybe bridging the generation gap, or because the person who is older needs care at this point in time. And so it's about bringing that person in, but not just from a standpoint of needing to care for the person, but it's also about, and I don't know how well we do this here in the States where I'm at, I tend to think this may be more of a cultural thing, but it's also about bringing in people who we can learn from. There's lots of wisdom to be gained from people who have a great deal of maturity, that's the word I'll use, of maturity, based on their own life experiences. And so maybe, as I'm saying that, I'm feeling led to also say this. So it could be like, yes, that is part of it, but it could also be as we move from the transition from one year to the next, maybe as an overall type of energy, or as overall advice, we're being asked to ask the big question, what did I learn over this last year? What did I learn over these last 12 months? What did I learn in 2016 that's going to help propel me and move me forward into 2017? Because I'm thinking of the expression, and I tend to do this myself, during this time of the year when the years are about to change, I get very reflective, and I ask the bigger question, what did I learn? Through my life experiences, through my interactions with other people, what did I learn? And I'm hoping that as I move from one year to the next, that I'm older and wiser. So I'm seeing that as the expression just popped into my head, older and wiser. So on that note, I will round out and end this week's Oracle Outlook. So I am Jameson Mitchell, and as I sign off, I want to again thank you for sharing this space here with me, not just this week, but for every week of 2016. And I invite you to come back and share this space with me again in our next video, our first for 2017, and then for subsequent videos and weekly readings throughout 2017. So again, I'm Jameson Mitchell. I want to thank you. And as I close, I'm wishing you a wonderful day. I'm hoping that you have a wonderful week, and I'm hoping that you have a happy new year. Take care.